Namibia is one of the least densely populated countries in the world, with a population of only 2.1 million. As sparsely populated as it is, distances between towns and villages can be vast and uninhabited due to the large size of the country. Not all rural areas can be easily reached by road, which poses a challenge to government to provide basic services and infrastructure such as healthcare, water, sanitation and electricity. Nonetheless, rural people have over the years developed their own transport mechanisms to improve their social and economic welfare. They use canoes to cross rivers or to move around from one place to the next. They transport their goods on donkey carts, fetch water, wood and plow their fields. Namibia is known for its extreme income inequality, which is one of the highest societal inequalities in the world. Despite the country's endowment with abundant natural resources, good infrastructure, a vibrant democracy, peace and stability, Namibia also faces a staggering rate of poverty, unemployment, lack of decent shelter and the slow pace of land reform. However, Namibia can rejoice over many achievements like its stable political climate, increased economic growth, rise in human development, upswing in the literacy rate and a whole lot more. Social grants were expanded to reach some of the vulnerable people in our society. Agriculture plays a very important role in Namibia and is mainly driven by rural areas where farming activities contribute significantly to the overall livelihoods of people, such as providing food and income through informal employment. Most farmers in rural Namibia are dependent on subsistence farming involving land cultivation and rearing of large numbers of livestock. Families cultivate their fields on small plots of land to produce mainly for their families until the next harvest. The 90s saw an upswing of innovation in information and communication technology as seen in the industrialized world. But ICT also became the driving wheel for the rapid advancement of the decelerating growth of economies in developing countries. Cognizant of the role that ICT can play in improving access to information and communication to solve a wide range of health, social and economic related issues, Namibia has made exceptional strides in the telecommunications sector since independence in 1990 and is regarded as one of the top leaders in telecommunication in Africa and the leader in digitalization in the SADC region. However, there are still small challenges such as people not having easy access to ICT resources and cutting-edge equipment, including features such as internet access. The digital divide in terms of access to ICT in Namibia can mainly be attributed to a lack of finances to purchase ICT devices and level of education and literacy. The sluggish digital literacy in Namibia needs to be addressed so that rural people can use more digital operations on a mobile phone other than just to call. There are a few telecommunication companies providing traditional ICT services in Namibia, such as voice calls, SMS and data services. But only one stands out as the pace-setter in the industry with its diversified, innovative digital solutions and ingenious marketing strategies. MTC. It has changed the way people do things. How people obtain knowledge and information at the tip of their fingers, access a variety of services, communicate, share views, or interact. While the rural area's capacity to fully benefit from ICTs is limited and accessibility to ICT benefits and opportunities are not equally available, MTC's strategies in the penetration of wireless technologies, especially the rapid adoption of mobile phones in the most remote rural areas in Namibia, have far exceeded expectations.
I believe that as a communications company, we actually don't have start and end. Communication goes throughout. We enable or we allow Namibians to continuously be in contact with their loved ones. Communication is important. Cell phone gives you that instant availability and access. Unlike in the old days where one would rely on, of course, a person carrying a letter from town to town for a month and so forth. Now within seconds, you have access to information. And they say information is power.
A mobile network, for the word mobile means you are not restricted to be at one place. You move around. So a mobile network gives you that advantage of using your services on the go. You see, Namibia is also a developing country. And MTC, when taking these decisions, we take cognizance of our situation in the country. We also take cognizance about the cost involved in providing certain other services to our communities.
When MTC was founded in 1995, it had no towers. It had to rent towers from the Namibia Post Telecom Holdings and existing water towers at the time. MTC activated its first towers in Windhoek before it branched out to the coast, the north, and eventually the other towns across the country. But as from the year 2000, MTC started investing in its own towers countrywide in an attempt to increase capacity and expand its network as part of its ongoing network expansion program, especially in rural areas.
Because of the investment that we had between 2004 and 2006, our revenue digits doubled. In April 2012, Namibia became the second country in Africa to launch what we call 4G.
The population is growing, the country is huge, and I think that's the biggest challenge, having to go throughout the country and make sure that there's connectivity. But we've been very successful so far. We also have, in most of the areas where the population is growing, especially in urban areas, there's always congestion, and our teams have to continually go out and upgrade the network. Firstly, we're making a very bold developmental statement. I've never had a telecommunications company all around the world say that we want to achieve 100% connectivity. And as the spokesperson of MTC, I always say close to 100% connectivity because the population is always growing. So I don't like to say 100% connectivity. And by connecting people, you are creating so many opportunities. So if you look at rural Namibia, the reason why people are migrating to urban areas is because of the opportunities that are in urban areas. If you, however, go into rural areas and you create a network, you bring electricity, it gives rise to a lot of other things. Nobody will go and build a school in a rural area where there's no electricity. Nobody will go and build a clinic if there is no electricity or connectivity. So connectivity and ICT plays a very important role in terms of just activating other developmental, social developmental, and economic developmental initiatives. And that is why this project is so important. It's like building a road. Once you build a road, cars will start flowing. And this is the sort of role that this project is going to play.
The 081Every1 project is MTC's $1.2 billion Namibian national capital project to bring fast internet access to customers in rural Namibia through mobile devices. The main objective of the 081Every1 project, which was launched in 2017, is MTC's aspiration to bridge the digital divide between urban and rural Namibia. The 081Every1 initiative allows rural dwellers to enjoy equal network functionalities and benefits on their mobile phones like urbanites. This initiative aims to expand MTC's network to connect close to 100% of the population through the rollout of 524 sites from 2G to 3G migration in rural areas and from 3G to 4G in towns.
Namibia is very unique in its nature. We are very vast and we have desert areas. We have areas that are not inhabitable. The 081Every1 national project is a project that MTC has initiated with the intention to support our national objective. Our government has an objective to make sure that we avail connectivity. Now, ICT is the enabler. Through ICT, mobile connectivity, making sure that it has a sense of availability and affordability, our intention is to make sure that we avail mobile connectivity to everybody within the country. For this, we know that we directly and indirectly support a lot of sectors, the social sector, the well-being, the economical sector, the direct businesses and indirect businesses, so formal businesses in the informal sector. So the national project, look at it by the end of 2023, we want to make sure that every individual in Namibia has access to mobile connectivity.
There is a deliberate effort being made at the national level to ensure that ICT industry is developed. We have seen recently the launch of a national broadband policy by the Ministry of ICT, and the establishment of towers around the country only fits well within national strategic agenda. We cannot operate in isolation. If you are not connected, you're simply not enjoying your human right. Democracy will also be best advanced if all members of communities are allowed to influence policy, the establishment of a robust ICT industry, and be part of this global connectivity.
So there are some of these areas, deployments that will be based merely on the fact that we need to cover, and it's a national project, and the return on investment is not affected. We have a standing criteria that we use to determine the deployment of towers in areas. We are working in conjunction with the National Strategic Agency to determine the densely populated areas and many other factors, businesses, schools, hospitals. We use this in conjunction with a database of requests and complaints.
Once MTC obtained its own transmission license in 2004, it started connecting tower to tower, person to person, phone to phone, village to village, and leaving no one behind. The MTC erected new sites countrywide in a short space of time in both rural and urban areas.
There was a need for us to go fully fledged to try and improve our population coverage. So we started with 081, and then we started building towers. And we look at the remote areas, those semi-villages that didn't have services and villages that were far out. The plan was to build 374 rural sites and 150 urban sites. The 374 rural sites, in the first phase we built 132 sites. Now we are busy with 92 sites. So we are reaching the margin of 210 sites that we have built under the project. So we still have over 150 sites to build so that it enables us to reach our target of 100% population coverage.
Currently, the country is covered by 835 towers all over. But once we complete the 081Every1 project, we'll be hovering close to 1,200. And again, that's still not enough because 10 years from now, it will be required for us to invest more because connectivity will never be enough and congestion will always be there.
The mobile telecommunications giant spent 85 million Namibian dollars already in phases to erect towers countrywide and build over 133 power lines that now provides electrification to rural areas. Another 105 power lines that will connect 105 rural sites are also on the cards. Due to the magnitude of the 081Every1 project, MTC has divided the rollout of towers in 3 phases and also in regional sections. This type of project has never been done in Africa before, and careful planning and execution is key. The project is not done in isolation, and it involves many stakeholders, including especially the community members where the tower is being erected.
A tower is composed of different components. There is the civil part, which is the concrete works where the tower needs to stand and the steel works. And there is also the earthing component that is required on site so that when the lightning strikes, these things don't get smoked out by the lightning. And then there is the tower itself, the structure that you build, the steel structure that you need to put up. Towers normally there are different types of towers. You find a guided mast that goes from 60 meters to 80, 120 and 150 meter tower. That's the guided mast. And then you have the freestanding towers that are 48 meters and 25 meters. And then you have the monopoles that are 25 to 30 meters. So we do have a variety of sites. It's not one solution for everybody. It's a different type of components with different loadings. Sometimes you need a heavy-duty tower to carry more load. So we have a variety of sites, and then we have a cabinet. In the past, we used to put up containers at our site. Now we are putting outdoor. So we just put a slab and an outdoor, and then there's a yard, and then there's electricity portion or solar that is required, and then there's batteries on site to have the whole complete. That is only on the site. But remember, this side needs to talk back to Windhoek. So far, it's going a little bit slow because of the different issues in the market. Yes, COVID has delayed us because the factories are overwhelmed by the different requests that are coming forward, and it's just they cannot keep on the pace. And we are not the only country building towers, so we have to join the queue, and most of these towers come from outside. Yeah, challenges that we face during installation of towers is, everybody sees putting up a tower as a revenue generation for themselves, for the piece of land that they are giving to MTC for these towers. So sometimes we have that roadblock of people saying, no, I want an X amount of money for my tower, and which is expensive, and sometimes we have to turn it down because we are saying that it's a national development, but it's an operational cost at the end of the day. We are compensating you a monthly amount for using your land, piece of land, but we don't want people to smoke us. Other challenges that we have is especially in urban areas. People living in urban areas have a different mindset. They want quality of services, but they don't want towers. So we always have problems when building a site in Windhoek. For instance, building a site in Windhoek take MTC between 7 to 8 years just to get permission to build a site in Windhoek. That's the life cycle, just to start building. So if you find us building a site in Windhoek, it's because we started that process 7, 8 years back. And what is it that we are doing?
The 081Every1 project is an investment in the local industry with many benefits that were derived from it. Over 40 Namibian companies were contracted to the 081Every1 project to construct over 500 new towers, mainly in rural Namibia. This is a truly significant Namibian project where MTC invested in local companies to participate in the project in line with its procurement policy that seeks to empower Namibians. This project provided very much needed employment and training opportunities in Namibia.
We employed about 18 Namibian contractors, and we said all these contractors has to be local. They have to be Namibians, and that's why phase one had a bit of delays, because we knew that we are going to be working with suppliers who has never worked with us before. And phase one was the process where we also started educating them in terms of how to build a tower. And I think that did a lot for the economy in terms of reinvesting Namibian money from our customers into local companies. Because these days you see so many big projects going to foreign companies while we have Namibian expertise in the country. So I think that was a very positive thing from this project.
The guy that I have, they are all of them Namibian. And also, to come to a place like this one, we always try to employ people from the area themselves. The reason is basically job creation. But it was very, very eye-opener for us to go through the community welcome, they speak to us. When you bring cell phone, they think that is the end of what we want to have. So it was a good project. The process will start with civil work, the fence. Then after civil work, of course, you go to the block, the hangars. And then from there, of course, then you go back to the mast. You had to put the mast up. But the guy had to be very good.
There were many obstacles and challenges in building towers in the rural areas.
Rain, for example. Now we're approaching rain season. During this process, people have to come down if there's heavy rain. They cannot go ahead with that. What happened to COVID, for example? Now, 3 months behind the project, and that basically unforeseen situation like that one. It's beyond our control.
Not only did the 081Every1 project bring faster connectivity to the most remote areas with the upgrade of the transmission network to 3G, but it also brought favorable economic spin-offs. Many villages were connected to a power grid for the first time, as it was pointless to erect a tower in a village while people had no electricity to charge their phones. Where electrical installations were not possible in a particular village, solar systems were installed to power the whole community. MTC provided electricity in rural areas to the tune of 11 million Namibian dollars. In some villages, roads were so bad that it was almost impossible to construct towers, as it was difficult to reach the areas. roads were constructed to pave way for contractors to transport material and machinery to build the towers. Some schools were also renovated in the process.
And part of our objective here is to bring connectivity to rural areas. The rural areas that are connected, most of them are still on 2G, and we know that the limitations in terms of what you can do with your phone on 2G is quite limited. And that's why the focus is to upgrade them from 2G to 3G. And in the rural areas where there's not connectivity, we want to bring connectivity there so that we can, introduce our rural citizens to 3G. But it's not enough to just take a network there. You must connect it. So there's two ways that you can connect it. It's either you use a laptop, you use an iPad, or you use a smartphone. And we've done a study that the most affordable way is to use a smartphone, but the smartphones are also very expensive. So what we've been doing is we've gone out in the world and we found the most affordable smartphone, which we also subsidize so that we can make it more affordable. And we, through the project called the Smartphone, we are going into rural areas and we are rolling out these phones, and Namibians are buying these phones because only through these phones can you then connect and use the service. We want to create those opportunities by investing in communities, by investing in rural areas, and by investing in infrastructure that would be able to connect people. Our business is about connecting people, creating that smile on people's faces, creating the passion, creating moments that will last forever.
It's definitely very important to make sure that you have connectivity because it gives them opportunities that otherwise they didn't have. If you want to develop any place, whether it's rural or semi-rural or urban, there are a few basic things that are needed, and telecommunications is one of them. You need to have telecommunications, you need to have some power supply, you need to have a bit of water. And then what happens is that usually if you bring these things to those areas, businesses start to flourish. And by giving them these telecommunication capabilities, access to internet and everything, we are closing that gap.
With phase 1 and 2 of the 081Every1 project completed, it has connected people, villages and settlements with over 200 towers commissioned. That's over 200 rural areas that MTC put on the Namibian map. The 081Every1 project has brought joy and laughter to communities in rural areas that never imagined this will happen. They came together in big numbers to dance, chat and communicate. Soris is sandwiched between the Brandberg Mountain and the Ugab River. It's located at the heart of Damara land with many smaller settlements, plots and farms. Around the tower, you would think that there is no human life. But in Soris, life is everywhere. In the river, underneath mountains and in valleys.
Ma amsa da ke khwa ka hai ka ku oda se thida ke ne sisa net meni gre ha tip ke net mana awa hana musa da ke wan hwa sip kha sore sida ke si tawa bara mai husa rang ngai ngadi ha ani kap tigre mi tip ke net mana ha awa sore wap na ke ko tut tige ko mu sore si ke ni mai kaisa dio da ga dimchi da ke gring wa ku.
So when I came in 2015, I was having a communication with MTC people. I wrote 3 letters to them. By the 3rd one, the response was very, very positive. Within a week time, they sent the surveyors of MTC. They held several meetings with the community members. 2018, the process has started. And then 2019, the problem has been totally solved. Our lives has been opened, you see. If you put in front a dark thing and it has been taken away, the light has come in our lives. Meaning that we can communicate to outside world.
This can name as a school ama. This can name as a clinic sama. This can name as a landpop kantor sama. Chicken as a lambodas peros nama. Chick Hadiros store road, this is an hour Tinama. Chidake did that in an asking Anna, like Auda Asi, Taureta Mandi. senior traditional counselor da asida kenin asin ana ne ane casting ngame pep ai dige kuinga ku karung aruding no tinje ngai karung arudi tu sing no kwena ne banin ai kowe ani casta ba Ministry of Health taba tine ba tomana ara khwaka skoli taba tine ba inge na tomana kameni ho MTC tawa diramio yenesisa an abagutani mai ragudi wapna ne kaisara wakai wana kwe hukwe kat atam arita se I tawa pianga ne tawa ais aidage kai se kui kurina an abab ai wapna kwe kan haud ma se to magrita kai se ke tom I tomaro igran ais no o ige hub ai kwe an abab ai kuigre khamie khabe ye an abab kan nanus kran abi okra season na bab khagaran nawe okra season ora ge toy garan ais kai kui garan ais kui garan ostina khori gastin ai tons ais tadani how to bagi wat mai to wa ga dari to miang uya ti cell phone ane ba nga kur ti umda ai to eta hanya ke ti ngoro sa dage wasip kadida tina ke unhai tinje kona gremi auma ha ngata wapke season tite ani kabi kommi ke ani kabi ke season tite ngata wapke haumuti ke mai tinje ke kharu tida ke ne na unga ni bi dusira hodi ke kona gremi ta ke datna ke khawam oi khabe uigeo oda to kai ni to me ya oi ye sida di cell phone ku huwa ka ma ko yoi unga ko ai kutuk kom hame MTC tawa opening welcome ai It's a tomte. The Mutida Gripel Baku. Tidage Wata area Tidan Lady, opening Itabagesi, we say Tidage Kai Secretary. Kai is like a Nasi again in Kambaku, Waku Nabama. And the Tuan Yegoa Nebogoha, Didagra Kambaku. Clinics are me very hammer tomorrow. The great you just said today. Waka Kay and Nabakon come at the great one cow. Didagra Kambaku, Tidage Kai Secretary.
Even the school is now up to standard. Previously, when we communicated to people, it was cut off because of the communication that we had. But now that the fingers come in, it's only just a matter of 2 days, 3 days, the positive answers we are responding. What has happened is also non-governmental organizations has come in, whereby they are sponsoring us. From the Kamagochi cell phones, even we have moved over to the modern cell phones that we are calling nowadays touch screens.
Since the MTC tower was erected, life has improved considerably and people are now in touch with the world and with each other. The future of Sorry Sorries is bright and they are hopeful for what's to come in the near future. Paramansoni is situated in the Mashare constituency in Kavango East, near Rundu. It's very green with water availability for livestock. Many of the community members survive by plowing and farming, and most are creative and work really well with their hands through making baskets, hoes and axes, but have nowhere to sell their crafts. The 081Every1 project has brought network and electricity to the area.
Mora, tantan ina prima mnanga tingasine kutundo mtorondoze kodoro pasto karapota. Kapta koronda hena. Gusa tupise cell phone to bela. Kura to mzogere na wo kodoro pa. Tawa kupeko na nalimbo. Ndi wale mawera. Ndi po ile imahara kugwane kerane koro. Urero. Kapta koronda hena koiki. Ikonga turondo. Kurondo kupo ko kapina uke. Urucheno matutuliraji. Network matutulira. Na nyepo hii. Technology unakuya pindura. Tuakere tunarara. Tuakere tuaridiwa. Technology kunakuya pindura tukarasi. Nanno se bantu msinke. Nanye inga kumona. Kapia imona.
Family emergencies are easy to deal with now, thanks to mobile devices and the MTC towers.
Notaparo kanga munuru yenda kuputura. Kanukawana kukanchoncho. Kuya ora tunji atoye. Kana kuya ora kamurora ko engole tungo toye na tumonenge tamanu kengo. Mulimo taparo kanga muno. Apata kali resi impeliko kapuli na tiki wakali kuyenda pa kliniki panya kateta matondo. Kuruwa na limtondo wene kulishinchika kuyenda mpopompo ya kale network wene. mara kusekela vene kurenga limutondo lirepe vene lirere makura kuupa tundara te kumanga ikavene na kutura ko tundini makura tura putifoni twetu mpopo awe kuvarika kubela weno kuna kuyuwa ngo wawa paka tukaranga kusekela weno ne kuyuwa wawa na pliunyoye wale una kuvera kukutantira sha duka kunonga ndu kuvera na kuvera katu yendi pa ninke pali kabatu batereka kali hauto bikawa yashimbi munkamali wande mbikawa mtwara pa chipangiro makura mbikawa yendi ngo kuchipangiro katika kunya bikawa kawana nguli mwanu kenko kuchipangiro kali mupuli hauto pano kali mtwara kuchipangiro bikawa kawashwa kuchipangiro li hauto mbikali kavyu kaliende kumundi makura babo mbikawa yendi ngo parupadi batunde kuchipangiro baye kumundi network kuna utitira maua shine na kala wale munyoye kwa kuvera na kuvera ndimone na kuvera bela ngali hauto amuane wangu mbatiro wa Dr. Mono kuchipangiro na kukuyuwa shilimfuma.
Baramansoni is a community which is growing daily, and there are many opportunities for businesses as there is now electricity in the community. Oshiwaneho is situated 50 kilometers from Oshinene, a village in the Omaheke region of Namibia. The distinct flora and fauna of the Oshiwaneho area has made it a hub for community settlers from all walks of life.
Para kunga ino mai vada katiti okuyangwi kaino pe tuhingire mabihitarirwa chino ko vadangwi mape kutungoro hungumba tukano hange nyuye yakatiti kuturiko vongo kombanda okuhino kuingira munjato ohormende cha konjo ngonjo dayo kyatuye kumuno tuhungundwi atukano hange chinene owanduru yamba aruyoku aruyamba amamorata yohona pare wa mahali rumbuna nehira kinenendi ehindi ranjo yetendi MTC yari kuyanjo yete atuyanje iri muri poko mumbonde mbeni atuyanje iri muri konjora atuyanje iri muri mahingiri mbaya yanjo akuja yekai no hona pare kuje hindi kiranjo anega ino bipotha rukwa
omulungo onetweka undaiheya twali mondolera uli twali pe mouyembu penje youye ne dino ndima tumunayo twahiti mouye vandu mabe wango kutuka meururi beno njoroka bayoroka shinene namba mabe lipura beri momburu makushabi ngahino maye po yeyo maubaye bali uliri okuja kahino network mutu maiya yokukalelera po kahino yeyo maubaye bali uli yapo nambo mabe bango kushiwa meshimesha amulipura MTC maiya kutulaera dange ushene moya mamutulaera
kipeno network kanji ya nei matu muno upupu ngwato nongode kuja kanaje kanje poka mbaka naje kwa makei hamwa njo utore mbaka ndakure yanje twa muno uwambwa sanangwi ochimbino hangi hinene ohormende che tupo binambi NBC che kutulungiro binambi tuno hange nja enene opwa todo kuipo mbatero kudamweto chiwana.
The MTC tower has truly helped the Oshiwaneho residents, who can now even call the nearest clinic to find out if the doctor is available, instead of traveling the distance only to find out there is no one available to assist them. Omafuta is situated 7 kilometers away from Katima Mulilo. It's a small town with a wonderful, relaxed, peaceful atmosphere. It is an escape from the noise and busyness of the big city life.
People that are residing in Mafuta, they come from different, tribes that are found in the region. As years goes on, there was an establishment of a school because of the population that was increasing in the settlement, and then probably then they thought the school must at least, be opened for the learners to access education. And then we have seen also an influx of people now also moving from town to Mafuta, settlement. That is good. Because the settlement, we have realized that the settlement, there is a low crime rate compared now to town. That's why people are moving from town now, probably coming to the settlement. The challenges that were there before the tower was put on was people, making their calls in town. they had to move from here, to go make calls in town because there was no tower at all.
Ezona fa I think when do namka vanhu namka utokuli wakani ulera kuli unani problem fa munso uluboni va MTC hava kuserize tower yani. Since mazazi akwamulaho for 3-4 years back ane usina communication mamafuta ane usina tower neuna ni problem ya kuweza kulikuvulela ni mtu yainzi kwa vendu kapa kuvulela ni mtu yainzi kwa katima konzi kupahama kwa kota esku ya fa high hill fa sizulu kupahama kono kona kuweza communicate ni wainzi kwa hole konoka check today amulu tserize tower at least ni hani swedi kunocha I can receive my call even when I'm on bed na muhela call so at least likazales vona hali saunde.
Every day, more and more people are building new homes in the settlement and making Omafuta their preferred town. This peaceful settlement has big plans which will develop their town. Egombe village is situated 70 kilometers from Oshakati and was developed after independence mainly by cattle farmers in need of grazing for their livestock. During that time, the village was only accessible on foot, not by car nor bicycle, as there was no road.
Uvudia constituency is one of the unique due to the fact that if you move around, we have Ireko Ponona, which is mostly likely to attract a lot of people to come look at how it looks like. We have the Ipumpu ya Shirongo Conservancy, which accommodate various types of wild animals. And most of the farmers from different constituency and from different regions, they are likely to flock in to this area due to good grazing areas. Although we find it very difficult to come here, especially during the rain season, because when rain comes, people find it very, very difficult for them to reach.
The economy of Egombe is made up of cattle farming, poultry, crop farming, home gardening, cooker shops, and small trading businesses. Due to good grazing land, the most lucrative business is cattle and goat farming.
Our main responsibilities is to do the planning and to coordinate, as well as to work on developmental projects so that we can uplift or rather upgrade the development within our constituency. As we speak, you already have a planned capital project where we are aiming to have a gravel road. Over there, constituency is one of the richest constituency in terms of natural resources. There is potential here for business.
Egombe village now has full connectivity, and that includes 3G services, which gives community members full access to the outside world. With a new tower and new councillor, the settlement is hopeful for the future. 68 kilometers from Marienthal via gravel road is where you will find Chris, a commercial farm which has over the years grown into a settlement and will soon be declared a village. Before the 081Every1 project, only a few people knew about this hidden paradise in Namibia. In the Chris community, everyone knows everyone. The town is surrounded by plenty of farms, has a school and a settlement office, as well as a few businesses that sell basic groceries to the community members.
The population size increase, the kids, school-going kids included, is roughly more than 400. And more than 600 of the population surroundings the farms. The job, as you see, the government provide job through the hostel, the school, teaching, and the settlement office is also a government office. Further, the people making some business, and the rest is living from the livestock.
It's a priority, it's a basic need, it's a human right to have a healthcare, and especially healthcare closer to you. People here, most of them are unemployed. If they get sick or if they have to attend to a health facility, they have to travel more than 50 kilometers to be assisted. There are young people here who can do a lot of things with their hands. Although the education level is very low, we only have a primary school here.
Electricity is here, water is here,
The road is okay, the MTC towers are here. We, the people, like anyone in the whole Namibia, we are here.
So talents are there. You find soccer players here. You find people that can do a lot of things with their hands. If we can just assist them to bring out those talents, then I think we will have a remarkable society. We will have young people who are productive, and we will have young people that will be changed in terms of their mindset. So that's something that this community needs and that can be worked on.
If you have the basics, and the basics is to have a piece of land, water, and then the tower, then you must start your own things, design your own house, have your own mind to start a business. So we cannot wait everything and expect everything from the government.
The settlement has improved and continues to improve with recent additions such as sewage pipelines, water, and it has started slowly building concrete houses. Chris has availed land for development, especially a police station and clinic. With so much potential in Chris, the settlement has big plans for its people and its youth. The provision of decent connectivity to rural areas that were previously unserved or underserved has stimulated economic development in those areas. MTC mobile connectivity has created opportunities for employment, education, and extension of government departments and agencies. Over the past years, a number of businesses such as supermarkets, banks, post offices, pharmacies have been lured to open branches in rural areas since the upgrade of MTC's mobile connectivity. This, in turn, has brought about employment. Educational opportunities have also been greatly expanded by distance learning as educational programs have become available through the use of internet applications, especially at tertiary level in the rural areas. MTC connectivity also improved democratic processes as information about elections could be communicated via the mobile device.
It's a matter of making sure that everybody is covered in for the development in the national and the bigger picture of the country that we are deploying this. So I'm very confident that come that, we will not have anybody complaining about that.
Sure, it's a big expectation that we have put up ourselves, and looking at Namibians don't live in the same place. And Namibians are moving around. Namibians are moving to new areas. And when we started the plan, those new areas were not in discussions. And the population are flocking to also the urban areas. And more people are going to the farms. So it's a dynamic environment. So what we are busy doing is, even if we are saying we want to achieve 100% population coverage, there are new areas where people are starting to live now. So as people are moving into those new areas, it means we cannot achieve that 100% population coverage. So it's also stretching the project. So as much as we want to achieve the objective, we are being stretched by the people's behavior and by the different aspects. And yes, we are halfway there. And after phase 3, when we are done with phase 3, we are very confident that we are almost close to our margin of reaching that population coverage that we intended, and also taking into consideration that the population has grown.
It's important that we connect, because without connection, you have no communication. But also we understand completely that the market differentiation is that we're moving into a trend where communication is no longer sort of like perceived as a luxury, but it's a basic essential tool. So I need to be in the farthest, remotest of corners of this country and able to enjoy the same services that I am enjoying in an urban setting, for example, like Binduk.
MTC will continue to monitor and work hand in hand with government agencies to cover populations in new settlements. MTC believes in its philosophy of making the connection.